Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start today's video with a tale that's as shocking as it is heartwarming, featuring a young, deaf grocery store employee's unsettling encounter with an irate customer we'll call Crazy Karen. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Lady loses her mind because I'm deaf. So, some backstory first. I worked at a large grocery store chain as someone who stocks groceries, replaces items that have been left or returned throughout the day, and various other chores around the store. It's a pretty small store, so most of the employees can do almost all of the tasks. So this particular night, I was putting away a cart of items that customers decided they didn't want, overstock, or were damaged. There was a separate area where damaged items went, obviously. Now, I should preface this with the fact that I'm not completely deaf. I can faintly hear things like slamming doors, loud phones, or ringtones, and some things like that. Though I can't hear voices at all, even loud yelling. While I'm deaf, I know sign language, have a large pen and lanyard that I wear that informs people that I am in fact deaf. In addition to this, I have a small notebook that has a variety of pre-written responses to questions, sort of like flashcards. Though communication is difficult sometimes, I try my best to make things work, and I'm very prepared. Most people are understanding, work with me, and we get through the conversation. Some kind people even sign with me. That always makes me smile. I'm pretty young and don't look like the typical hearing-impaired person, so when people sometimes get a little grumpy because I don't respond right away, they're very apologetic. Not this time. This is where the story gets good. In the cast, we have me, the deaf teenager, Crazy Karen, CK, nice customer, NC, store manager, M1, regional district manager, M2. So I'm mulling along one evening and decided to get an early start on the overstock from the day, which was filling a shopping cart to the max. Since this was earlier than I normally began, there were more people still in the store as opposed to when I usually started. No big deal, I started anyway. About half a shopping cart later, I'm in the paper towel section when I feel someone roughly poke me in the shoulder. I jump and turn around, startled to see this lady. She's taller than me, and I'm no slouch. I'm 6 feet tall, or 72 inches. She's very thin, probably mid-50s, frizzy blonde hair, only held back by a bright MAGA hat atop her head. Not that there's anything wrong with supporting Trump, but this lady hit all the stereotypes of a Trump supporter. This back in September 2020, and of course she doesn't have a mask on. She begins to what I assume was yell, judging by the aggressive look on her face. I begin to point to my lanyard and ears, trying to communicate that I can't hear her. According to the nice customer, who I'll introduce you to in a moment, she was saying things like, "I'm talking to you. I've been trying to get your attention for 5 minutes." She then takes a step forward and grabs my lanyard, yanking it violently and gets it unsnapped from around my neck. She throws it to the ground. At this point, I'm very nervous and beginning to panic. I try to actually say I can't hear, but I'm not sure how it came out, as I've never actually heard my own voice. My SO says it sounds very cute, however. It's at this point the NC enters the picture. I see him round the corner, a 30-something-year-old man I assume rounds the aisle, and walks up to the CK asking what the problem was. This is all what he wrote down for me, saying what he said after the incident. NC looks over to me, and I frantically point to the pen on my mask and grab my notebook and scribble down, "I'm deaf, and I don't know why she's yelling at me." NC turns to CK, and they exchange some words. Things like, "Can't you see he's deaf? Why are you yelling at a kid like that?" And responses like, "He's not deaf, he's just ignoring me because he's a lazy little S blank blank." This goes on for a few minutes, and finally I begin to cry, as this has caused a scene with people starting to surround us. It finally attracted the attention of my two managers, M1 and M2. M1 walks up to me while M2 walks to NC and CK, who've now really started shouting at each other. M1 no sign and asks me if I'm all right. I say I am and wipe the tears from my face and grab my lanyard from the ground. M1 tells me to grab my things and wait for her in the employee break room. About 15 minutes later, M1 and M2 walk in with a police officer. CK had been arrested. M1 explains to me in sign language that CK had been arrested for third-degree assault, and the officer needed a written statement and asked if I wanted to press charges. I happily said yes and give my statement. The NC stuck around and I wrote him a thank you note. M1 also gave him a gift card for being an upstanding citizen. That was by far the worst experience I've ever had with a customer. But I'm thankful that awesome people like NC, M1, and M2 exist. Also, CK got sentenced to a few months in jail, probation, and was fined a hefty amount, and I honestly hope it destroys her life. I'm really glad this crazy lady got punished for her behavior. These people need to learn that this isn't okay. And our second story. Manager told me not to do things that weren't my job, so I didn't. A little bit of backstory. For about 3 years, I worked at a large chain store in the electronics department. It was my first job out of high school, and thanks to a combination of me being a tech nerd and a couple very kind coworkers, I picked up on not only the job, but our products quite easily. I knew what I was doing within the month, and before the year was over, I was a contender to take the department manager's position when he left. I ended up not getting the position, but that's a story for another time. Fast forward 2 years and the company restructures its stores. Basically, instead of working in a particular department, now you do one job across the entire store. So now you have people who specialized in, say, fashion, forced to do price changes all over the store in departments they don't know. No one likes the changes, and over the next few months, over half the staff quits, including the entire electronics team. Except me. I'm now the only person in the entire store with the knowledge and experience to run electronics, management included, as many of them were replaced during the restructuring. As one of our highest shrink, theft, and highest profit departments, they know they're done without me, so they bend over backwards to make sure I stay on. If I'm at work, I'm in electronics, and if I want to do something, no one questions it. They know I'm the only one who knows what I'm doing. I'm the only person in the store with this privilege. Now, on to the malicious compliance. After about a year, my manager who worked out the deal with me to let me run electronics leaves, and a new manager from after the restructuring takes over. Technically, my job title is Customer Experience Specialist. Basically, all I'm supposed to do is customer service. Stock, different team. Price changes, layout changes, different teams. Unofficially, I do it all for electronics because the few times other people did it, I spent my entire next shift cleaning up their mistakes. And I made sure management knew it. New manager finds me rearranging a section one day, preparing for some new stock to come in with the release of a new iPhone, cases for it and such. He throws a fit and tells me I'm not supposed to be doing that. It's not my job. At first, I try explaining why I'm taking care of it, but he doesn't want to listen. I kinda just ignore him, trying to placate him until he wanders off, then go back to my work. Apparently, he sees this because the next day he writes me up. Fine. Don't want me doing things beyond my job? So be it. I've been working here too long to care. For the next 3 weeks or so, I do nothing except customer service. No customers in the department. I stood behind the till being paid to do nothing. I watch as the shelves empty with no one stocking them or correcting for the items getting stolen. Our back room is overflowing with electronic stuff that can't go out because the new shelf layouts haven't been done. Everyone just thought I would do it. I didn't. A month goes by and management's freaking out. Our profits are way down. The back room's a mess. The shelves are barren. What's going on? I'm sipping my drink, standing behind my till. Finally, they realize what happened. The manager that started it all is quietly shuffled into the back room, and I get a new one who tries to work out a new deal with me. The store-wide inventory is coming up in 2 months, and it's going to be a disaster unless I step in and save them. I hand in my 2 weeks' notice. I've been applying for other jobs during my hiatus, and I got hired by a cell phone company. Who operates the cell phone kiosks? For my company, I request to be put in my store. The request is granted. Now here I am, watching from behind my kiosk as electronics go down in flames. Profits are through the floor, and the inventory check was the worst I'd ever heard of. As a result, the store's budget is cut. I told them when I gave them my notice to have me train someone, but they didn't have the hours to spare. They really don't have the hours now. Edit. An update for you all. I had a friend still with the store check for me, and he can provide some solid numbers. In the month since I left, the profits from electronics are down 44.7%. Our store as a whole is ranked 12th in the district for profit increase. There are 12 stores in the district. The entire store is down almost 15%. This has to be one of the most satisfying things to watch. I love when the big guys upstairs try to change things and it doesn't go like they expect. And our last story. I live next door to the mean, elderly HOA president. My 86-year-old neighbor is the president of our expensive, intrusive, yet useless HOA. She'll do anything she can to get us a $36 ticket for anything and everything. She went through my laundry while it was still in the machine, and I got a $36 ticket for washing my small, machine-washable bath mat from Target. The communal laundry machines are not to be used to wash carpets. She tried to get me ticketed for refusing to hand water my front yard, aka community property, which has an automatic sprinkler that I did not install and is not connected to my water line. She reports my husband's car daily for not being registered, despite the fact that it has legal paper registration taped in the window, issued by the DMV and road legal. They're threatening to put a lien on my condo and tow the car at my expense. I get to dispute this at my hearing in effing April at 10:30 in the morning on a workday. She and the rest of the board recently changed meeting times to 2:30 on a weekday, so anyone with a job and children is unable to attend. I feel like I'm constantly spied on in my home. She takes crappy pictures on a flip phone, prints them at Office Depot, and mails them to the HOA board. But she's the president of the HOA board. She took a picture of my bush touching the back fence today. Can't wait to get that $36 ticket. Update. So we decided it was time for a change. We used group chats and social media to plan and spread the word, making sure everyone knew how important it was to show up for the next HOA meeting. We even figured out ways to cover for each other so we could attend despite the inconvenient meeting times. When the meeting day arrived, it was clear that the neighborhood is ready. We voted together, and when all the votes were counted, the mean HOA president was out, and a new, friendlier board was elected. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.